everyone. I hope that you're doing well. My name is Matthew, and I'm a concerned citizen. But beyond that, I'm just a regular everyday person, living paycheck to paycheck, and I have just been watching this country just spiral out of control. But if I'm being honest, lots of the problems in this country that are being represented on the news, such as the division, hate, bigotry, racism, is not new. The division between the working class, the poor, and the ultra wealthy and powerful is nothing new. It's just getting to a point where, unfortunately, it is boiling over. And we're in history right now. And I read and learned about history in my youth. I was not interested. I should have paid attention a lot more because I think a lot of the reasons why we're here is because a lot of people did not pay attention. And you're doomed to repeat your mistakes if you do not remember them, right? So, no lessons were learned, it appears. And I look at what Donald Trump, MAGA, the political leaders on the far right, and even the right in general, because it seems like they're just kissing Donald Trump's ass, have done to this country. You see the language that Donald Trump has used to villainize immigrants, villainize gay people, trans people, black people, and others, such as, the Muslim community. It's just really crazy to see how his base, who supports him, have really mirrored a lot of that hate without any evidence. They live in these communities with these people, with gay people like myself, Hispanic people like myself. And I have to say, I'm even disappointed in my fellow Hispanic community who support Donald Trump. It's interesting because I have a family member who, at the same time posting about Bad Bunny performing and supporting him as a Puerto Rican themselves, they'll go on and post other videos of what Donald Trump is doing with immigrants and saying it's a worthy cause. It's really crazy because they don't realize the hypocrisy there as the Trump administration and MAGA are attacking Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl. In the same time, they're supporting Donald Trump and posting videos supporting Bad Bunny. It's really crazy the reasoning and how they get to still supporting this man after everything he has done, everything he has said. And you look around and you see what's happening, and there's lots of ripple effects. You see ICE in these communities. You see that they're going after people at the top, going after the media for a large part, to be honest. Lots of the media and many powerful people are folding. One, out of greed, and two, for self preservation. So I see the major ripple effects, on TV, but I want to talk today about what's happening in the local communities, and especially a community that I grew up in. Because as Trump attacks trans people, LGBTQ people, and others, I see it taking place in my community where there are people who are powerful because they have money, putting out the message into the world that there are people who want to groom your children. And in today's video, I want to talk about a CEO up here in upstate New York, Amsterdam, New York, named Anthony Constantino. He is the CEO of Sticker Mule, a company which, to be honest, when they started in Amsterdam, did quite a lot of good things, giving jobs to the community because for some reason, Amsterdam and the local leaders had opportunities. There was a business that wanted to work with the local college that I went to, and they wanted to work there to give those individuals opportunities to work with their company as well. But it never came to fruition. And Sticker Mule came in. They make stickers. They're one of the largest online sticker, I guess, manufacturers and sellers. And they have other products as well. It's almost like I'm doing an advertisement for the business. But I saw them doing good things in the community. For example, there was this park where they built a gym, they renovated the park, they had other actions in the community, they did other events, hiring events. And for a large part, it did help the community. And I don't want to take away that credit from Anthony. I give credit where credit's due. He is someone that is very successful. He's someone that has lots of money. But just because somebody, let's say, is successful, just because somebody's good at something and has built themselves up in the way that he has, doesn't mean that he is right about everything. It doesn't mean that he has high empathy, compassion for the local residents in Amsterdam. In fact, it's unfortunate that he became so political. Um, yes, am I political? Yes. But I try, and I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes. I have said things about people who support Donald Trump in the sense that I don't understand them, that I do see at the time a level of hatred and bigotry and racism associated with MAGA base. And in large part, to be honest, that can be true, but not for every single person, right? So, in upstate New York, near Amsterdam, there's another community where during Trump's first term, you had the KKK present in that community, and it was on the local news. And Trump's second term, right, in 2024, in that same community, flyers would be passed out for the KKK, and they were harassing local Democrats. So there is hate, there is bigotry in the community, and a lot of those people identified as supporting Donald Trump. So, getting back to Anthony Constantino and Sticker Mule. During the second, um, well, the most recent election, Anthony had posted a lot of support for Donald Trump, was wearing the MAGA hat. And to be honest, I think that's a large warning sign for me. Anyone who's wearing a MAGA hat, uh, post election and even pre election, it to me symbolizes like a cult mentality. I've never been a person who's idolized anybody. I think I can admire their work, but I think being picked on and bullied as a kid by teachers really set me up for an environment where I never really had the opportunity to look up to someone and idolize them. I saw them as being human beings, flawed just like me. They were not an authority figure to me, you know. So that's how I think I came out of school, never having a poster of anybody, never kind of worshiping individuals. And we'll get into a later video where I talk about the brand loyalty that I never realized I had and how that equally was as dangerous as supporting a person or idolizing a politician. So when I saw the recent election where Anthony Constantino was in the local community, and I do have pictures to share, his local sticker mule business had put up a vote. Oh, let me move over. A vote for Trump sign on his building, right? And obviously, very in love with Donald Trump, admires him a lot. And I have to say, I was like, he's doing this, and the town tried to stop him because he didn't really set this up with permanent permits, but he won with this sign being left up because he was exhibiting his First Amendment right, freedom of speech, and it's interesting because if I did that as an everyday person, I wouldn't have the lawyers to protect me, right? So this sign is still up there today. Um, and on the election day, he had a party there. There was many people in the Hispanic community locally, supporting, celebrating, and for a large part, I know that their lives have been personally affected positively by Anthony because, he gave them jobs. But for me, at the same time, I also recognize that at the same time somebody may be benefiting me, they also could be doing harm to other people. So Anthony afterwards also had the plan of setting up and changing the sign from Vote for Trump to America Loves Trump. And this sign looks directly at the thruway. So if you're driving to Amsterdam, you can see his sticker mule business and this sign on top of it. Now, this sign hasn't been set up just yet. He also had a proposal of a Trump park and with a Trump statue in it. And to me, it's it's very dangerous to have a living president have something like a statue idolizing them. It reads dictatorship to me. Um, you know, usually you don't know about a person until you're going back and reviewing everything from a new lens, an unbiased lens, because history is going to judge, individuals. And we've learned many bad things about, let's say, Columbus, right? And I know people are like, oh, really? Yeah, I mean, in school, I was taught that Columbus actually was here to do positive things and he got along with the Indians. I found out that's true, in fact. So I think it's dangerous, and it kind of disgusts me to see a park devoted to somebody like Donald Trump, who has hurt so many people, who has said so many terrible things about so many people. And some people are going to go, what do you mean, hurt people, Matthew? Well, he has said lies about immigrants. He has created an environment where gay, trans people who are not right are fearing for their lives. And for our youth, they are in danger because when you have Donald Trump villainizing trans people, you get to see other people reflecting that. I've seen it on Facebook, people saying that, Democrats are promoting transgenderism. And to be honest, Anthony Constantino, the CEO of Sticker Mule, has done the same. So I want to post a letter that Anthony had sent out to the residents of Amsterdam. So this is what he sent out. He said, Dear Amsterdam residents, Democrats have been marketing transgenderism to children as young of 10 years old in our public schools and keeping it a secret from parents. Both a guidebook on how to promote transgenderism to kids and a memo directing staff to keep it a secret were leaked to me. I shared both on social media. The Democratic mayor lied and said this wasn't happening in a post attacking me a while back. Since then, I exposed what has been happening. Concerns parents and teachers have leaked more disturbing information. Our public middle schools have the transgender flag on display and recruit kids to join the LGBTQ group. And then he gives the name of the individual. Allison, who wrote the memo, is the same person running the group. I share this information on social media too. No one should be trying to secretly promote transgenderism to other people's children. So, I imagine, to be honest, the teachers who are maybe sharing this are people who do not, one, support transgendered issues. I grew up in the community. Not everyone is accepting. Of course, there's other people who are accepting. It's the same makeup of any place, right? You have people who are welcoming, empathetic, open, and then you have other people who are judgmental and just hate people for who they are. And unfortunately, yes, there are people like that everywhere, and there are people like that where I grew up. Okay. I personally have experienced it. I went one time to a local Dunkin' Donuts with my boyfriend at the time in Amsterdam, New York, and we were standing in line. There's three guys ahead of us. They knew we were gay. You know, it's hard to hide it when you're with your boyfriend. He dressed a certain way, and just two and two they put together. They started like farting in front of us, right? So I was like, okay, tame right now, saying things, laughing at us. Then when we got back to our car after we got our coffee, uh, they said, I think they said the slur, right, the F slur, and my boyfriend at the time wanted to say something back, and I was like, do not. They were ready to fight us, and I was like, we are not strong physically. They are bigger than us. There are more of them. Let's not go there. When I was in school, I was walking home, and this person tried to run me over with their car multiple times. And the uh, and who knows if they were joking, right? But I do know that their history is that they beat up their father and went to juvie. So I wasn't taking any chances, and I jumped in the ditch. I Prior to that, I should bring up that you know they were calling me slurs, um, anti-gay slurs, but um, I wasn't sure of their intent, but it definitely was to intimidate me. So I kept to myself. I was not out in school. We'll get more into that, but I think it's important just to illustrate that I know the context of children and young individuals, discovering themselves, and everyone discovers themselves and takes time and you go through phases. I get that. I get that. And I get the concern about someone, young, making decisions which are not reversible. I understand that. And I think there's ways to have those conversations, but I also think that is between the parent and their child. And in some instances, unfortunately so, there are many LGBTQIA individuals that do not grow up in a home that is accepting of them and where it's dangerous for them to be outed to their own family. It's the reality of the situation. I know lots of people feel like we've overcome that, but many communities, that is not the case. A lot of people look at, New York State as being blue, but I grew up in upstate New York, and there's pockets of areas, around Albany that are very accepting. But I grew up in a community that was kind of divided. There are people who are accepting and are caring and are empathetic, and I felt safe, right? So I just don't want to label the community as in itself being hateful. I think a lot of this hate comes from a lack of knowledge, a lack of exposure to people because you only watch them on news and you see people like Donald Trump villainizing them. And then you have individuals like Anthony Constantino adding to that with someone who has a platform and is admired in the community, which only further hurts the LGBTQI plus individuals. Now, they're gay people who support Donald Trump. And I've also seen them judge other trans people, judge gay people. And right now they're on this kick about, attacking Democrats and saying they're anti American, they're terrorists because Donald Trump says that they're Antifa, which is just anti fascist. I'm anti fascist. And Anthony doesn't stop here, right? Because I decided to look at his Facebook post. And I've had conversations with Anthony online where I really didn't agree what he did. I did buy products from Sticker Mule. I decided to step back because when Anthony decides to put himself out there with his platform and his power and decides to alienate individuals when he wants to run for office, I find that rather off putting. Your job as a leader is that you're going to represent everybody. So, individuals like Donald Trump and Anthony going into here villainizing people who he doesn't even know and he's going to represent, I just find really disturbing. So, let's go through another post of Anthony's. So here he is. He's indicating all of the teachers in my comments saying they're just following the law by hiding efforts to transition middle school kids from their parents are undeniably lying and targeting your kids behind your back. This lie is so severe that I recommend all are thoroughly investigated for crimes against children, aka pedophilia. And then he says, this is Munchausen by proxy. They are targeting your children and are likely engaged in an inappropriate relationship with students. Now, this is very heated and charged, and this should not be taken lightly. And Anthony probably believes he's doing the right thing here, but calling someone a pedophile is something that the right, Republicans, Donald Trump does, and it never should be taken lightly. I think that if you're going to accuse somebody like of this, right, you better be 100% correct. And I know for a fact this is not 100% factual because the examples that I have later are individuals just having the pride flag. And for him, this is indoctrination. This is what he calls pedophilia, right? Donald Trump, Republicans have called Democrats pedophiles. But what I find interesting about Anthony Constantino is that he's supporting Donald Trump, who has been connected to someone who's been accused of and also convicted of committing the crime of pedophilia. So that's Jeffrey Epstein. And Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to stop more information from coming out about his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. So it's very hypocritical to accuse individuals and say this crime against children when you, Anthony Constantino, are supporting somebody who is connected with a pedophile. And there's no closer connection and more evidence than Donald Trump's connection with Jeffrey Epstein. And, people want to say, hey, Matthew, Bill Clinton could be in there. You know what? I don't care in the sense of like he should go down if he's guilty and he's found guilty in the files. I think that, yes, there's probably Democrats and Republicans who are powerful and protected each other. Just like Anthony, he is powerful and he has lots of money, right? But I am not saying that he's, a pedophile, right? I am not saying that at all. But to support a president and then target people who are just being open and empathetic and welcoming to young youth who are confused, about how to come out, uh, don't have anyone to talk to. Because I grew up in this community, right? There was no gay straight alliance when I was going to school. I kept to myself. I had no one to talk to. So I think these teachers are trying to create a welcoming environment. And just because kids are coming out doesn't mean that they have been turned gay, right? This is just them being comfortable with expressing who they are and just a part of themselves. It doesn't make up the entirety of who they are as a person. So I find this very upsetting and very irresponsible. But again, Anthony's expertise is selling stickers and having that business. His expertise, and I keep on putting this in front of me, but his expertise is not, let me move this to the side. His expertise is not on gay LGBTQ issues, not at all. And I think a lot of people get into the mindset of he's rich, he's powerful, and that therefore that means that he knows what he's talking about. No. So let's go through another post of Anthony's. And let me move this over. Should have moved this over before, but. So he said, more teachers are leaking to me about transgender propaganda in schools. These teachers are very nervous to do so, but they are heroes. Now, I think that a lot of these teachers probably believe they're doing the right thing, but I also think that they're looking at someone having a transgender flag or gay flag in the school is indoctrination. Now, they may be doing this because, one, their own personal religious beliefs, two, because what they've seen on the news promoted by the MAGA, Fox News, and Republican Party that gay people are trying to groom your kids. Gay people are just trying to live their lives. And these young youth, they're trying to say, should be able to be open with themselves. I hate to say it, but nobody turned me gay. I, you know, and that's what's interesting. You look at the Republican Party at the RNC, Republican National Convention. Grinder, a gay hookup app, crashed twice because it had so high traffic. And then you look at Charlie Kirk's funeral service, which was like a WWE event. Had, Grinder had so much high traffic during that time. So there's lots of closeted gay men in the Republican Party who are just self-hating and hating on gay people. I watched the movie Kiss of a Spider Woman with Jennifer Lopez recently. A lot of people didn't watch it and mixed reviews, right? But there was a quote that one of the characters said. It said, "The worst kind of gay person is a closeted queen," right? So, and I agree with that because they do lots of damage. And when gay people speak out against other gay people, or these Republicans, speak out against gay people and try to condemn them, meanwhile engaging in gay sexual acts themselves, they give permission to other hateful people to target and spread false information about gay people. So, you know, here's Anthony saying that he's being told this. He potentially could be being told this, but does it make it factual? No, because a lot of people have said terrible about things about me because I'm gay. I had a friend who I worked with. I felt like I couldn't tell her I was gay, and I later discovered that her son, we had drifted apart. Her son, who I met briefly, came out to her. She completely disowned him. I was one time working at this company, and I no longer work there. But one of my coworkers said to me, I was talking about something, and she said, "What are you, a faggot?" And I was shocked, but not completely shocked because I had been through things before. Growing up in this area, I had experienced things like that. But it's hard for a young gay person because there's no one else you can relate to. Me and my family being Hispanic, we could relate to each other. And Wanda Sykes kind of said that as well, the comedian. She said, her and her family could connect that they, had the blackness shared, right? I had the Hispanic thing shared in that with my family. But being the one open gay person in my family, I had no one else to share it. So I felt like I was suffering alone. As much as I had the support of my mom, right? I had no one that truly I felt understood what I was going through. So let me go through the next post. And again, let me move this for all of you. Sorry. I don't know why I keep on doing this. All right. So Matthew here posted, he said, "This is from Anthony Constantino, who wants to be a congressman." And it's true. Elise Stefanik, where I live, represents the area, and she wants to go for governor, and Anthony wanted to take her seat. He has for months been a bully. He berates people, calls those that disagree with him haters. He makes claims that are far fetched and ridiculous. His consideration for any elected office must be denied forever. And I have to agree, I've seen Anthony post many hateful things, and just coming from that community and knowing other people, I know them not to be true, and I see them as being the regular fear mongering, hateful things that people say about gay people all the time and trans people. And here's a post where Anthony says about Matthew, "This is not the face of a person uh, anyone takes seriously." And then Matthew responds to Anthony and says, "So you stoop so low to judge someone who is born with a facial deformity? I have overcome so much in my life to achieve what I have." He goes, "Adversities that you know nothing about or of and should never be able to overcome to achieve, Anthony. You should be ashamed of yourself." And this is just giving you a little bit of where Anthony is, coming from with his rhetoric, his hateful rhetoric. Now, he said, I think in one post, and we'll see if I have that here, but let's go through another post that Anthony had put out. All right, so here's Anthony indicating wacky Democrats keep on saying they want me to leave Amsterdam. Do they not realize that would collapse the local economy? Take away Sticker Mule, and many other businesses will die too because they won't have customers. Some loony Democrat today said, "I'm the worst thing to happen to Amsterdam. These people have completely lost their minds. I'm the best thing to have ever happened to Amsterdam. If you disagree, name someone who's done more to improve the city than me. I have a great plan to make Amsterdam great again." And he puts MAGA and make New York great again. And wait and see. So this is very reminiscent of Donald Trump, to be honest. And that's scary because it's just like everyone's against him, the Democrats. There's no unity, there's no leadership when I look at this. So I just see division and hate. And that's not somebody who I want leading my community. Now, it's up to the voters, right? But even if the voters were to vote for him, it doesn't change my principles of what I believe is right, and morally wrong. So let's go through another post where, Anthony's basically talking about, when he was growing up and what kids are facing today. He goes, "When I was a kid, some kids recruited each other to join gangs or to become emo or goth. Some kids went for it, but most didn't. Now kids recruit each other to go trans. And again, most kids say no, but some go for it. The big problem is going trans is much worse than going goth. Goth, you can wipe off the makeup when they're adults and pretend it never happened, or share photos and laugh about the things they did as kids. And a few, I'm sure, still live as goths into adulthood. But not many, as I rarely see adult goths. Unlike goths, trans kids don't get to wipe off makeup and one day enjoy normal adulthood. They're permanently altered and can't go back. I remember being a kid, as many of us do. It was fun, but it was hard. There was lots of adversity and opportunities to go down the wrong path. It's hard enough for parents to ensure their kids study and stay away from other kids handing out drugs. They should have to deal with they shouldn't have to deal with the added complexity of keeping their kids away from trans marketing scam. And certainly shouldn't have to deal with Democrat teachers targeting their kids in secret. So, again, the same usual rhetoric about trans people trying to indoctrinate kids. Now, like I said, I think that there are conversations to be had, between the parent, between a physician, and that child about what transitioning actually is. And I do think it's a very serious, conversation of, taking hormones, going through surgery. And I understand that that's a conversation that definitely should be had in the sense between a patient and their doctor. And in some cases, if the parents are accepting and opening, I think that parents should be involved in those conversations as well. And even if the parents are concerned and the child is saying, "Hey, they don't agree with this," I understand that the parents are trying to make the best decision for the kids. But the villainization of somebody who is trans, and I'm not trans, I don't know what that's like, right? But I am not going to pretend and say I have the answers in the sense that, oh, guess what? They're being indoctrinated to be made to believe they're trans. But I do know the argument is that sometimes kids believe or try different things and find that they don't like it. I understand that. But to villainize and say that teachers are trying to intentionally go after kids and trying to, let's say, have relationship with minors and calling them pedophiles is extreme. So let's go through a final post here. And this is a local teacher, and actually, they teach at a school I went to in this community. So, here is a public school teacher, Alex, exclaiming that no one will stop him from promoting transgenderism to other people's kids. Even took a photo of himself with his transgender flag. Alex works with middle school kids in the blank school. Now, it's a school I went to. District. Do parents know about this creep? And then we go into Alex's post. He goes, "The fact that this is even being leaked is absurd. Every school should have an alliance club to make students feel seen and welcomed. I am not grooming students. And it's terrible that somebody has to say that they're not grooming, because a lot of people associate that with pedophilia, right? And students, so I'm not grooming students by hanging my pride flag in my room. It lets LGBTQIA students know that they are safe with me. If you truly think our goal is to indoctrinate the youth into becoming gay, then you're truly brainwashed, homophobe, and no friend of mine. This flag is never coming down from my wall. Now, you see that there's like 57 likes and loves, but there's like 224 posts in general, of course, from Anthony sharing, so you're not sure where his support is coming from. But I have to say, I went to the school, I was picked on by teachers. I'm not saying there weren't good teachers, there were, but I just imagine that if I saw this flag on the wall, how I would feel more open to maybe talk to the teacher about what I was going through. And it would have felt good to connect with other kids who were going through the same things I was. But I didn't have that. And I went through lots of difficult times. I went through lots of crying, mental health issues. Um, so to see Anthony kind of define what he is meaning by indoctrination and talking about pedophilia. And this is the example he comes, which is just a teacher hanging a flag. And I imagine other teachers who have leaked information to Anthony are also using this as an example. I just find it really out of touch and irresponsible. So I'm just looking at the community and I'm looking at Anthony, and I want to say something. He is somebody who has achieved many things, and one of those things is a lot of financial stability and wealth, where he doesn't have to worry about what every regular person has to worry about anymore, right? Where's our next paycheck coming from? What's going to happen that potentially could impact the roof over my head? How am I going to be able to afford a medical emergency? And then for gay and trans people, am I going to be able to live in a community that is safe and accepts me? I want to tell my last story. My boyfriend, we were enjoying fall. He took a picture of us in Saratoga, New York, right, at the local state park. They posted, he shared on the news, because they were asking for pictures to see, what are you doing this fall? Share a photo. He shared a photo. It was shared on the news and shared on the local Facebook page. There was lots of people who had negative things to say. I was a bit hurt, not shocked, because like I said, where I kind of grew up and what I had experienced. And again, not blaming the entire community, because there's good people there too. And I don't hate the people who said those things about me, and I don't hate the people who are uninformed in their judgment, because I know a lot of it comes from fear and the propaganda that's being given to them. I mean, there is accountability once you start hurting individuals and taking violent acts and targeting children. But I look at somebody like Anthony, and I see that, to be honest, um, he has so much, and I don't understand why you use your platform to target individuals instead of build them up. He's done things for the community. I will not deny that, right? But if you're going to be a leader, like, are you going to choose the path of Donald Trump, which is targeting and villainizing people such as transgender, gay people, drag queens, immigrants, black people, poor people, Muslim people? Are you going to go down that path? Because that's not leadership. When you're a leader, you're representing all the people in your community, not just some of them. And you maybe feel that you're doing the right thing by speaking out here, but I think it's first important that you actually speak to the individuals who are gay, trans, and the teachers who are promoting an environment that's welcoming, to really understand the facts, to have a conversation. a conversation where you can express your concerns and you can get answers instead of just getting the answers from individuals who are not part of the community or have their own biases in determining that just by having the trans flag or LGBTQA flag, it's a form of indoctrination. So that's what I wanted to say about this. I know it was a long video, 40 minutes, but let me know what you think. I plan to do other videos. Leave a like, subscribe. If you disagree with me, that's fine, but I have no animosity. I understand that when you don't understand something, there's fear and judgment that comes with that. I'm trying to be more open. People who support Donald Trump, right? I don't understand it, but I'm trying to, in the sense of I know I'm not going to support Donald Trump. Just like somebody says, I know I'm not gay, but I'm trying to understand this perspective. I'm trying to understand. And I know lots of people are struggling. But I look at somebody like Anthony, he's not struggling. So that excuse for that, I kind of think about other people, they're struggling, they're trying to find an answer for all their problems. That's not Anthony. He's not in that position. So let me know what you think. And enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Thank you, everybody.